Welcome, everyone, to the Food and Movies podcast, where we investigate the intersection between food and movies. We go deep, we tell jokes, and we overthink every instance of food in popular movies. I'm your host, Paul. I'm here with my friend Jeremy. Jer, what is today's movie?
We're doing The French Dispatch, which for a couple days there I was confused with The French Connection. Not the same film.
No, not even the same genre.
Not even close. The French Dispatch is the Wes Anderson piece, and it was 2021. It's his most recent, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What did your thoughts? Let's dive in. Let's test our palates here.
So for those first time listening, Jared and I will do an introduction to the film and give our initial thoughts, and then we will chronologically go through the film meal by meal, analyzing every instance of food as it appears. And then after that, parting thoughts and general grab ass in the horseplay. Anyway, French Dispatch, my first thoughts. Man, immediately after I saw this thing, and I also noticed in the other podcasts I say immediately way too much, so I'm going to try to work on that.
Fair enough.
But soon after I saw this movie, some may say almost exactly after I saw this movie, shot right into my top 5 of all time. Movies.
Really?
I'm talking about. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I am that pretentious and that much of a hipster that this Wes Anderson, at peak Wes Anderson, really got to my pretentious hipster soul with the layers of everything. Just this, the New York, it's a fake New Yorker, which makes it even more pretentious and cool. You know, it's Wes Anderson creating a dollhouse, a human cartoon, then a actual cartoon in it.
Yeah.
I mean, the storytelling structure, how it was structured in like a magazine format with different segments, and then the multiple allusions to actual people in real life.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Weird.
Yeah, as a person who considers himself a pseudo-intellectual, it got me right in the field. Hit you
right in the subcockles.
Right in the soul, man.
Interesting.
Right in my brown English major soul, son.
So
what did you think? I got fired up.
No,
I got real fired up.
Like you jazzed me up here. So I'm gonna
I figured you would love it. I'm
gonna go full disclosure on this one because I texted you earlier today and I was like, I think Wes Anderson just out Wes Andersoned himself. And that was like I had watched the first 3 minutes of the film. I have kind of like Wes Anderson movies to me have always been kind of hit or miss. Big Royal Tenenbaums fan. Like Royal Tenenbaums to me was one of the funniest, most interesting. I hadn't seen, like that was remember when we were talking about Tarantino, what was your gateway Tarantino movie? And Royal Tenenbaums, like many people, Royal Tenenbaums was my kind of gateway flick. That got me into him.
Gateway Anderson.
Yeah.
Gateway Wes Anderson.
And then I loved, what was it, Life Aquatic? That was Wes Anderson as well?
That was the one after that. Yeah.
Loved Life Aquatic, was blown away by that film, thought it was amazing. And then anything between that and now, I've been kind of like, okay, I get it, Wes. Maybe try something, different. But 3 minutes into this movie, I was like, all right, this is a bit too Wes Anderson for me. Then I got into the parts with
you got into it.
I got into the film, of course. But I got past the whole kind of, because Bill Murray was just kind of like furniture in this movie. He wasn't like, he was the driving, connecting tissue through a lot of it, but he really wasn't. It was what he had built that was really kind of driving, connecting tissue. The story with, what's his?
Owen Wilson?
No. Beyond that.
Del Toro. Brody.
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Was so fascinating to me and so amazing to me and so comical to me that he would be painting this beautiful nude woman and then like you turn around and his art was just like that. Like even that was just so Wes Anderson that I was like, oh, now I get what he's trying to do here. And the Owen Wilson part kind of led me there. Like it drew me in because, I like Owen Wilson. I liked him in a lot of different movies. I'm not like a huge Owen Wilson fan, but I sometimes he gets a lot of hate and I'm just like, I don't see why. Owen Wilson's awesome. So yeah, it just drew me in. And then every story, you know how it was like kind of like almost like Four Rooms, how Four Rooms was four very separate stories with a connecting tissue. This connecting tissue, like you said, was the magazine, right? Was the writing and the writers. And me as a copywriter, it's like, you know, made me feel great about myself. But like that kind of connecting tissue that drew it out, and these stories that they told were so good. And that's done in his style that we do definitely need to talk about Wes Anderson's style. This is kind of the first director we've tackled where, and Tarantino kind of dabbles here, but this is the first director we tackle where if you look at his movie, you know it's a Wes Anderson movie. And there are only 3 or 4 people like that. There's for me right now, there's Wes Anderson, Baz Luhrmann, Terrence Malick. There are a few directors that, like, if I watch their movie, I know it's instantly from like one frame. That's a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I had a couple things in my notes, by the way. One was that I thought that you would identify most with the Owen Wilson character. Is that true? Did I get that right?
Maybe. I don't know if I identify with much.
The hell kind of...
I don't know if I...
The hell, man.
I don't know if I identify with much in an in a Wes Anderson movie. Owen Wilson's character to me was hilarious because he was doing this kind of tourism story about what appeared to be he was setting up the setting, right? And it just appeared to be the worst place ever.
Oh, well, that's this whole thing. He would focus on the seedy parts and the downtrodden.
Yeah, which I don't know if I would do that.
Okay, but we both dabbled in writing. You, of course, you're a professional.
Sort of.
But as a writer, the romanticism of what it must have been like to be this kind of writer at that time, which doesn't really exist. I don't think this really exists anymore. This specific kind of magazine. The way that the media functioned back then, these magazines brought in so much money that they could afford to send these writers out. And it was an extremely glamorous job, you know, being a writer for a magazine. You go all over the place. Many rom-coms somehow had their leads as being writers or editors of magazines. So I think it might have been the most romantic kind of writer would be someone working for the New Yorker, you know, editor at large or a writer, something like that. So that's just as writer porn, phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And as you mentioned, the style, I was thinking about that today because as the world has kind of gotten flatter? No, I'm talking about smaller. The world's gotten smaller.
We going flat Earth with this podcast? Because
listen. The world's gotten flatter and smaller. It's gotten flatter and smaller. You know, shout out to the flat earthers out there. Listen, hey, we could use if we want to get in be successful. We can bring them into our niche.
We need to have a following, so we are pro flat Earth on this.
Pro flat Earth for sure. That's as far as we're going with the conspiracy. Pandering, frankly. I hope so anyway, on my part. But
I've got some QAnon takes coming up later.
But as the world has gotten smaller, I think one of the things that's happening that no one really realizes is that everyone's work is becoming homogenized. Everything. Like writing, if you look at the way shows, anything is written now, it's all got the same kind of style of dialogue, that same kind of deadpan, 30 Rock style, that Aaron Sorkin rat-a-tat. Everyone's kind of adopted it everywhere, across all mediums.
Yeah. And
the same.
Oh, sorry.
And the same thing has happened for directors as well. Like, especially the young directors, the new ones, they really lack a sense of style, and I think it's because everyone's just all around each other. But back in the day when these guys they were coming up, they were really kind of siloed in where they were and their own experience, and they kind of had to. They were almost autodidactic, and they had to figure things out on their own. That created style. Yeah. And I think it's lacking now, which is why I think if you know anything about economics and market economics, if everyone's doing the same thing the same way, it becomes a commodity, and you really can't. There's no way for you to compete if you're just going to do the same thing. It's just a race to the bottom of who's going to do it the cheapest at that point. So Wes Anderson, by going full Wes Anderson.
All day, every day.
Turning it up to 11, I think is a couple of things I think about this is that you can really see that his style went in it took an extreme tone after he started doing animation, the stop motion animation.
Yeah.
when he realized, wait, I can design everything beforehand and literally build my world. Not just like kind of build it, but no. I'm going to literally design every frame, before I make this movie and then implement that. Just the same way they do it in animation, right?
Yeah.
You can definitely see it really affected his style doing animation more, I think, than any other director I can think of who veered into animation. I don't think it affected their style as much as it affected Wes Anderson.
Yeah, no, Tarantino dabbled in Kill Bill. He dabbled in that a bit. The first one. But you don't see, and that was much more of a product of his influence. Wes Anderson, you like you said, he's a bit of a world builder in that everything aesthetically, like he almost leads with the aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
The story's good, but his storytelling method is very weird. It's very disjointed. It's unlike anything. Like, I can't think of another director that tells a story the way he tells a story, where I'm like, I don't know exactly. It's not linear to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not linear. Every time he does something, every kind of vignette he gives you builds something more on the last, or tells you more about the world he has built. And this one did it to that extent. Like, I'm saying like a lot. Royal Tenenbaums, for example, was more linear to me. Royal Tenenbaums had a start, a middle, and an end. This did not. This was telling a story about a place. This was telling a story about an action or a magazine or a point in time. And there were parts of it, like the Benicio del Toro part, which was very Charles Bronson to me. Like that movie with Tom Hardy. It had a lot of Bronson elements to it. But then there was, and also like Marquis de Sade kind of stuff. But he didn't go that dark. There were a lot of weird influences there. But then the Timothée Chalamet was very Les Miserables, almost. It was
very French New Wave.
It was very French New Wave.
Yeah,
exactly. And the fact that his Chalamet's name was Zeffirelli, who, I mean, you know, that director, famous director, directed Romeo and Juliet, a few other films. An Italian director, but brilliant in his own right. Also another director that had a style. But this was a long time ago when everyone kind of had to have a style. And I think, I don't know, I found it very interesting. And as a film, it was exciting to me because I haven't seen something like it in a long time. We were talking about Master and Commander before, a few episodes ago, and you said it was everyone's doing kind of quick shtick kind of movies, and this was an adult film, or not an adult film, but a
grown folks,
a grown folks film.
Yeah.
This is also that, but in a different.
Yeah, this is like. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please. But I'm just saying it's not trying to be clever, but it is clever.
I would say there's a difference between clever and wit. I'm not sure what it is, but I think this is more witty than clever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just what I think. But I really, R.I.P. Woody Allen. Man's career is over. God bless him. Someone has to pick up the mantle for the nerdy, bookish, intellectual, upper crust kind of snob, I guess. Yeah. Someone has to pick up that mantle. I think Wes Anderson is doing that. But he's doing Woody Allen, like the intelligence of Woody Allen, but as a stylist. It's all we work in advertising, and art directors and copywriters work together as teams to create ads. Yeah. Wes Anderson, he seems like he's a team, an art director and a copywriter. He does together.
Both, or he's got a great direct DP. You know what I mean? Like,
well, no, not DP. This is art direction. DP is just lighting.
Oh yeah, sorry. Like, or he's got great art direction. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, Wes Anderson, man, and I'm saying if you want to be a director now, pick a style, because otherwise, why would they hire you? They'll just go for a guy similar, whatever, and they're just going to go for the cheaper guy. I feel like at this point, but yeah, I really, really admire directors with the style. So Tim Burton, great.
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay's got a style.
I mean, I'm not a huge Michael Bay movie fan. However, summer blockbusters, if I'm watching a Michael Bay movie, I know I'm watching a Michael Bay movie
Zack Snyder, same thing.
Zack
commercial
Snyder,
guy.
yeah.
Both of them.
I mean, commercial film has a place, and these people are talented, but they have a style. There are certain directors that have a very interesting style, and I mentioned Lerman and I mentioned Malick, but they're more. I equate them closer to Wes Anderson because there's kind of an artistic way they do things.
Lerman is really interesting. What he's taken his style to.
Absolutely. He's like an evolution of Joel Schumacher in a way. Like he's like Schumacher if Schumacher was really good. And I'm not hating on Joel Schumacher.
Yes, you are. Why are you saying that?
I am hating on Joel Schumacher. He ruined Batman for me, so come on.
God, hey, listen, no one got more out of their talent than Joel Schumacher. That guy was I think a costume guy. And he worked on sets as a costume guy, and he saw the directors.
Back when you could be like a hairstylist and just fail upwards in Hollywood.
Well, he saw the directors weren't anything special, so he's like, shoot, I can do what they do. And he did what they did. He realized that being a director was more about getting the job than doing the job.
Yeah.
So he was very good at, I guess, politicking and schmoozing, which, we can all get better at.
Hey, that's Hollywood.
That's every day, man.
That's life. That got deep.
It's life.
Got deep.
Yeah. The world is flat, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, shall we? Do you have anything else to say, or should we move on to the timeline of food, of which there is a lot?
There's a lot, and you know what? It was there were some subtle hints of food too.
Yeah. Literally peppered, if you will, throughout the movie.
Well said.
Thank you.
All right, let's dive in.
Right away, at minute 1 and 18 seconds, jump right into the fray with a serving tray on a Lazy Susan. Wes Anderson throwing down the gauntlet early to make a statement that this film is going to be a food film, whether you like it or not. You can get up and leave right now and get your money back if you're not into food, because there's food all over this film.
Yeah.
Got the tray on the Lazy Susan. That's all we see at this point. And it spins to coordinate with hands coming in on the outsides of the screen, loading the tray up with different things. Yeah. Great rhythm, great pacing, phenomenal choreography. It was all done in one shot as
beautiful
the leaves. Yeah. Before we get into the food, how do you feel about Wes Anderson coming out right off the bat and throwing a bomb down the field like that?
I mean, it had to be done. I think there was each kind of segment. Correct me if except for Owen Wilson's, had some sort of food undertones.
Yeah.
Even the art, and I'm not sure about the art, the Del Toro stuff, but there was food involved, I believe.
Very, prominently.
I'm catching up. I'm playing catch up, by the way.
Well, the third act, it's all food all day.
Yeah, the police food thing was.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, food does figure prominently.
But came out big here. This was a lot of alcohol.
I'll go through it. So, first off, demi-tasse. I don't even know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Demi-tasse. Demi-tasse. No clue.
Okay. And these are, by the way, Wes Anderson laid out all the food that I'm mentioning in the script. So this was all thought of beforehand.
Yeah, he thought it through.
Yeah, demi-tasse. Coffee in a tiny pitcher. That was actually in the script. That wasn't me. Hot milk and a creamer. Half bottle of cold white wine. A crimson-colored cocktail, 1 finger deep. A short-stemmed glass of amber aperitif. A jigger of off-black digestif, which you would crack an egg into and have 2 jolts of spicy sauce and a raw oyster. Mm-hmm. Whoa.
So demi-tasse refers to a cup. So that's an espresso cup.
Okay, cool.
Tasse being cup.
Okay. Following up to complete the list, small chocolate sundae, Coke in a bottle, a glass of water with an effervescent tablet dropped in it. So the food is all loaded in a very rhythmic and intricately choreographed scene of hands on the tray.
Built in almost in representative of maybe what the story is, because I think we see later that each person who has there are people that get things from that tray. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. So the tray is then taken out of the shot down an elevator by a waiter. The waiter goes up a cartoonish building through some stairs. We enter into the office of the French Dispatch, where everyone is sitting around in a general body meeting to discuss the next issue. And it's really interesting because the waiter initiates the scene by entering. And then as each character in the room speaks, the waiter will deliver food to someone in the shot. And then the next person will speak and the shot will change. And the waiter will enter the shot, put some food down from the tray. And so the food on the tray, the drinks on the tray, they created the entire scene with the drinks on the tray from the very beginning. And then it ties everyone together as an editing point from the waiter going from this table to that table to that table. As a use of food and culinary filmmaking, absolutely masterful.
Well done.
Masterful. Yeah.
It was a good way to kind of set the story. And they were using everyone's order choice or drink choice, I would assume, as a way to introduce the character. My question is do we remember who got what?
I'll tell you, I didn't take note of anything except for the weird one with the egg cracked in it and the oyster and the chocolate sundae, both of which went to Howard Sir. Bill Murray got both of them.
Bill Murray
he
got those.
Chugged the shot of the gross stuff and then ate the sundae with one spoon. Boom. He chased the gross thing with the sundae. I mean, that must mean something.
There's probably something there. I mean, I think if I were going to guess, and maybe we would go back and watch it, I would suspect that Owen Wilson probably, that, I don't know if he was in the room at the time, was he?
Owen Wilson, no, he was not. No. He was not. They were discussing all of the authors, and the authors were not there to defend themselves.
They weren't there, yeah. So whoever got the wine at that probably, I was wondering if it was like in sequence of how it was laid down, because there was a bottle of white wine that came down at one point.
Yeah.
And then there was some other stuff. I was wondering if he built the story based on the food. I don't know.
Well, he built the scene based on the food being distributed. Yes.
But even the context of the story he was going, because that white wine, I don't know what it was specifically, but it was a French white wine. And maybe it was representative.
Oh, maybe I see.
What I'm saying?
I didn't take note of it. No.
Overthinking hat comes on, and then I'm just.
No, I like it though. I
maybe
like it.
Maybe there was a sequence to it. Maybe Wes Anderson is that diabolical that he would do that. I don't know. I thought it was very interesting. But a great scene, using food as a catalyst to push the story. Very interesting.
I'm so glad this movie existed and that scene existed.
Yeah.
I've watched this movie twice in the theater. Both times sitting in the row where you can put your feet on the ground, but it's not the front row. To get the front row seats, and then like when the slope happens, the first row there where you can actually stretch your feet out. That's where I was sitting.
The hearing impaired seats?
No, seeing impaired.
Oh.
Yeah, easy mistake to make. But anyway, I sat there twice and watched this, and man, I was just like I was enthralled. Because Wes Anderson, he's the only director that you can't look at your phone at all while you're watching his movies. Like you can't do double screen Wes Anderson. You just can't. You have to. Half the joy of a Wes Anderson movie is watching the frame, watching things happen in the frame.
You're looking at our work, right? Like that's the thing is he's got and I keep harping on Malick, but Terrence Malick's the same way. If you are double screening a Terrence Malick movie, you're gonna miss so much stuff.
Yeah, what's the point? Honestly, yeah.
It's meant to be seen in theaters, and I kind of regret not seeing this in theaters because I was, my attention divides when I'm watching it on a TV or on a computer or a device of some sort. Your attention does divide, and I believe that this film, after a while, it actually earned my undivided attention because I was like, this is more interesting than anything else I have to do right now. Right? Like that's how it is, especially with Wes Anderson, because it's just so good to look at. We're like fanboying out here.
Well, let's talk about it for a second. Let's just get into it. Has anyone's directorial style evolved that much over the course of their career that you can literally see it happening in front of you?
I don't know if I would say that Wes Anderson's visual style has not evolved.
Come on.
I would say he's stuck to his guns.
I disagree. I think you saw. I think it was it's like a number system. You saw Wes Anderson on 3 or 4 Wes's.
Yeah.
And his first,
West to the power of 3.
Yeah, you got 3 West to the power of 3 with his first couple of movies.
Yeah.
And then he's going along. He's pushing his style. He's pushing his style, and he gets to, I would say, Isle of Dogs, and then this, where it's so refined and so specific, and the frame is so full. I can't think of another director who's evolved as much as him.
I would say
it's not like he was something different. He was the same Wes, but it was just it was a slow climb to where he is now.
His storytelling ability has definitely evolved. I'll give him that. His visual style, his frame of reference, his ability to do things has always never been vastly different from, like, I just don't see it. It's always the same. But I don't hate it. I think he likes the world in which he plays. He built his sandbox, and now he's going to play in his sandbox. And he's going to play differently each time. Every movie, like the Royal Tenenbaums versus Isle of Dogs versus this, they're vastly different films. This one is very close to the one with Ralph Fiennes, the hotel one.
The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, Grand Budapest. These two films, and not just because a lot of the actors are the same, because, I mean...
but you notice the style. The style evolved to the next level.
Yeah, but Isle of Dogs is falls in, but not really, right? Like, I don't know. I think he has his sandbox. He plays in his sandbox. Every time he builds a different sandcastle, don't get me wrong, still using the same sand, still playing in the same kind of visual aesthetic, and that's what makes him so good. I think it's just what makes him interesting to me.
Yeah, well, we talked about with Tarantino, the Tarantino universe that all his films take place in. Wes Anderson, I feel like the second half of his movies take place in one universe, and the first half is like the Little League or the junior varsity version of the second half.
Okay.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
You think he's growing? Like he's...
Well, I don't think Rushmore or Bottle Rocket exist in the same universe as the French Dispatch.
No, I think those.
But I think the Grand Budapest Hotel does.
Yeah, well, I think I feel like Royal Tenenbaums was when he figured out what he was stylistically doing.
Oh, so you think the line is Royal Tenenbaums onward is one universe, and then maybe Rushmore and Bottle Rocket are another universe?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm educated enough on Wes Anderson to speak on this.
Okay.
To be honest,
I didn't mean to press you.
No. Not, and I'm not upset by it. I'm just saying, like, Rushmore and Bottle Rocket were outliers to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't feel the same as this.
Well, he was figuring it out. Those were his first 2 movies.
Yeah,
right?
but he was also making a name for himself, right? Like, he was dipping his toe in the pool.
Yeah.
But then once he...
I like the way you said that, by the way. That was
well
done.
Once he figured it out, you saw, like, Royal Tenenbaums was a departure from those other 2 movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was much more... I think what we're trying to say is the level of cartooniness.
Well, maybe...
Is that safe to say?
Well, no, but maybe then you've walked me around the block a little bit. Maybe then you're right. He has evolved. I think. All right. I think. I'm going to swallow my pride at times and say, yeah, you're right. This is a more evolved version of what he was, even at Royal Tenenbaums' phase.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why Jeremy is a happily married man. His ego is in check, and he knows when to concede and when to push back. Well done.
Also,
and also he's making shapes with his hands. I think in reference to like a kitchen device of some kind. Possibly.
I'm very good at cooking. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Tremendous cook. Well, that was a spirited debate, Jer. I enjoyed it.
Interesting.
Especially because I won. I always like.
Yeah. It's nice to win. It's nice to win.
Yeah. It feels good, eh? Yeah.
Let's cut back to the food, Dick.
back to the food. Okay, so are we done with the elaborate first scene with the food and the lazy Susan and the waiter? I think we can move on.
Yeah, I think we set it up as a device, and I think it worked.
All right. All due respect to that scene, which I feel like we've done.
Scene.
Moving on to Cremence. In her introduction, there is toast in the foreground. So this is the montage of introductions. So there's toast in the foreground for her, possibly French toast. We don't know. What did you spy it as, Jer?
It looked like regular toast.
Like a regular toast.
Judging by her character, I'm not sure it was French toast.
Do you think she's the type of person that would eat a pile of toast as a full meal? Because it was just a pile of toast. I couldn't see any condiments or anything.
She seemed like a bit of a no bullshitter.
Right. That's so sad. It goes with her character, eh? Is there anything sadder than eating just a pile of toast as a meal, as a single person in her, whatever?
I don't know. Her character would be more interesting if it was French toast.
Her life, I feel like, would be more joyous if it was French toast.
Yeah, but
I think that would tell a lot about her character if it was, but it was not French toast. It was regular toast, which shows she's, let's be honest, probably depressed.
Well, I mean, toast is kind of a bland. It's just kind of a utilitarian breakfast. People love it. People swear by it. I mean, I guess oatmeal's the ultimate utilitarian breakfast.
Toast is great. You can put jam on it. You can put peanut butter on it. There's a million ways to do toast.
It's a carrier of other great things.
Also with oatmeal, there's a ton of great ways to do it. It's really how you do it. And it's the way it looked to me just like plain toast with butter.
Yeah. If you're just eating burnt bread, it's like you're not in it for the pleasure. You got stuff to do.
Okay. All right.
You got to get through.
Sad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Anyway, poor Cremence. Moving on. Minute 14. Cadazio, who is a art dealer in jail for some kind of white collar crime, I believe tax evasion.
Yeah, he didn't seem serious, but he's clearly a mover and a shaker. He's kind of greasy, it seems.
Yes, which I believe most art dealers are and always have been, and the entire industry is, from everything I can tell. Yeah.
Hot take. Any art dealers, please comment down below.
Art dealers, come at me with your comments.
Yeah, come at me hard.
I dare you. But he is observing some of the artworks done by prisoners in the prison art show. He sees one that catches his eye, and he uses a particular candy to bribe the very interesting and cartoony looking guard, by the way. Great
and casting. I love how the guard was in the sequence of art. It was like the origami swans, and then they were like guard. Yeah. I thought that was very Wes Anderson and very fun.
He looked like a cartoon of what a French cartoon prison guard would look like.
He looked like art.
Concerned. Yeah.
So
good.
Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because I looked up the food, because Wes Anderson, again, has written all these foods down. I looked up the food that Cadazio bribes the guard with, and it says gold foil enveloped marron glacé in a fluted candy cup. So this, am I pronouncing that correctly? Marron glacé?
Marron glacé, yeah, sure.
Marron glacé. This is actually This is actually a candy it's a candy chestnut, and it's known in Europe. It's got a very storied history, and it's mentioned throughout literature and other things. So the specificity was incredible.
He was bribing with candied chestnuts. That's what I got from it, because he did it again later, and he said something, or somebody said candied chestnut, or he gave one to Benicio del Toro. Well, we'll get there. But
right. So he
uses candied chestnuts as a bribe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to figure out who has made the painting, of which Del Toro has. Rosenthaler. I must say it looked delicious. I don't know what it tastes like, but it looked absolutely... And the way the guard consumed it with such enthusiasm, that stuff gets to me. When I see someone eat something with enthusiasm, I immediately want to try it. Yeah.
Have you ever had a chestnut, like a roasted chestnut?
I've had the chestnuts, the water chestnuts with the bacon wrapped around it, the honey on it, that thing.
Ooh, hello.
Have you had that? That's a classic at a Christmas
I don't think I've ever had that. I've had the out front of the Royal Ontario Museum guy roasting the chestnuts, Santa Claus parade kind of thing. Those are good too. I don't know. I like chestnuts. I don't think I've ever had a candied chestnut.
Well, you need to have one now.
I know.
You mentioned roasted chestnuts. I didn't think those were actually real. I thought it was just like a thing, like a mythological thing from a movie or song.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Yeah, I've never seen them before, though.
You see them on the street all the time in the winter.
You do?
Well, I don't know. The thing about Toronto, and I don't know about, well, I know about Halifax too, but Halifax wouldn't have it. Toronto had them in front of the museum all the time as an attachment to those like cotton candy, those like tourist carts they used to have. In the winter, they would have like a chestnut roasting thing, but I think those are gone now.
Oh, that's a shame.
You can't even get a street hot dog in Toronto anymore.
Really?
You can in certain locations. Like they have designated blocks for it, but you can't it used to be every block. There was you could get a good street hot dog.
Yeah, I think Silicon Valley is trying to remove street vendors and just drop hot dogs from drones.
Yeah.
If you even think of a hot dog, they'll drop one in your hand. You're automatically charged for it.
It's absurd. And I think that, whoever, if anyone who's in charge of street hot dogs is watching this, and you're the one holding me back from getting what I love so much, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, call your street hot dog representative at home to make sure that things get taken care of. This is ridiculous.
It's absurd. And bring back the chestnuts, the roasted chestnuts.
Also bring back the roasted chestnuts, because I don't believe they exist, frankly, and I also believe the world is flat. So do what you will with that information.
I promise you roasted chestnuts exist. I used to eat them as a kid all the time. They're delicious. They're fantastic.
Okay. Anyway, moving on with the movie. So Cadazio has a very interesting exchange with Benicio del Toro, who plays Moses Rosenthaler, who is the artist who painted the thing that Cadazio likes. He sees potential in Rosenthaler in marketing him as a genius who has gone to prison.
Yeah.
Actually does a fantastic job, and the plan he carries out is pretty effective in creating this myth. Yeah, creating a star out of Rosenthaler.
The sparrow. This is a perfect sparrow.
Yeah, but it's interesting because I've heard of this a lot with artists, specifically of this time, the abstract artists and the impressionists.
Yeah,
they were true artists. They really you can't be an impressionistic or abstract artist without really buying into what you're doing on a soulful level, on a spiritual level, And when abstract art started taking off and it was getting bought by these very rich individuals, the artists understandably were kind of disgusted by the people who were buying their art, these things that they loved. And I think you see that with Del Toro's character in that he's doing this thing which was sort of symbolic of that time, which is that the art dealers want to make money and Del Toro is not interested in that. He's a true artist, and there's this back and forth.
He was doing it to pay tribute to the woman he loved, his muse there.
Yeah. And so the whole conversation they have is actually an existential conversation that artists and the art market has been having. This sort of an argument, if you will, a conflict that had a wider influence than just that conversation, but it did represent that sentiment very well. I felt like, because Del Toro repeatedly tells them it's not for sale. He says, yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's, and they just go back and forth like that.
What do you want for it? And cigarettes. He's like, well, I want to give you $250,000.
Right.
Right.
So it's literally set up with the candied chestnut included as the catalyst to this. I think the entire theme of this section of the movie is that tension between the artist and the art market, and who is going to outsmart who, because the money people always think they're outsmarting the artists, always, and they usually are, and they're kind of smug about it mostly. And Cadazio, Adrian Brody, I feel like he puts that across.
Yeah.
And we look at Rosenthaler and we think he's some kind of dolt, some kind of dullard who knows how to draw. We underestimate the man. But I think that underlying message and layer to the story, which I'm pretty sure Wes Anderson understands that from all the things I've read about him. He's pretty bookish and he knows these things. So really interesting way to use food, and a really interesting way for a scene to depict something more than it is.
Who do you think won in the end?
I think we know. I think Del Toro did. Or did he?
But they got his art and they did get the art. In a plane. But then did he win because, or did they both win because it was kept in the original kind of format that he, even with the radiators and stuff, like it was all there. They had to like move heaven and earth to get this airplane across to Kansas.
Well, if it comes down to who's going to outsmart who, Del Toro, Rosenthaler, he did make Brody, or I keep on mixing up actors' names and characters' names. So anyway, Rosenthaler ended up making Cadazio wait for years and years, literally driving this man crazy to a point where he throws his hands in the sky and yells into the air. This is how angry this man was. He finally reveals the artwork, of which Cadazio, just like all of these people, love until they realize
they can't
the deal. He can't have it. He can't make money on this. Then he hates it. And he says that.
All hell breaks loose. And then he's like, kisses him on the head and he says, wow, this was brilliant. This was a brilliant piece of art.
So
right? Like he gets
there you go. Rosenthaler wins.
I think so. I think you're right. I think so.
All right. Quick note about that section. Tilda Swinton's character, when she's going through the slides and she accidentally includes a slide of herself naked.
Yeah.
Does the character do that on purpose and act like it was a mistake? She seems like the type who would get off on something like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I agree with you. I think so. I mean, why put it in there otherwise?
Right. Okay. There you go. And in the middle of that entire section, she takes a break during her presentation and says, I will have my drink now. But we don't know what the drink is.
Yeah, that kind of frustrated me.
Yeah, and but it was interesting that it was written into the script that she pauses. Like same thing with Pulp Fiction you mentioned last time, and how those extra things most people would have cut out.
Those little things that are just. But it's interesting about the character. Now I'm a huge Tilda Swinton fan. I think she's fantastic. I've loved her in almost everything she's been in. So she played it right. And she really just kind of, the way she even said it was just like, I'll take my drink now. Like very, like she is, that's why when you ask like, was that planned or not? Like she's planned, right? That's kind of what I got from her. Like she's not.
So that nude was in there for her enjoyment.
Yeah. Like she's got some sort of little voyeuristic, je ne sais quoi.
Well, she did mention some kind of sexual things along with her talk, so we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it. We won't speculate too much on that.
Well, does she want to be the muse, or was she the muse? You know what I mean? Like who knows?
Not us.
Because she hooked up with Benicio at some point, right?
Yeah. They mentioned that later on when he's going through the billing of her expenses. But in the Rosenthaler montage, when she's describing his path to prison, there's a great montage where he's in the foreground holding paintbrushes and painting in different scenarios as weird things are going on in the background.
Yeah.
And in his hand, he's always holding a drink somehow with his brushes. So that's a great little consistency. And then as he actually gets thrown in prison.
I love that scene when he's like, when they were talking about him killing those people, and he was like, it was a mistake or something. And he was like, okay, well, the first one was a mistake. The second one was self-defense.
Yeah.
That was a very Wes Anderson kind of thing.
Yeah, very ultra specific, which again, I love. Yeah. So the painting montage was at minute 17, minute 18. He swaps places in the scene. An old character, Benicio plays him as Rosenthaler as an old character. There's another actor who plays him as a young character. The two of the characters meet in something that seems very theater-like, something you would see in live theater,
right? Where
they switch places to mark the passing of time, of how long he's been in prison. And in that scene, the young character takes a swig of mouthwash, which you realize is something that he's been doing this whole time, basically, all these years. And he feels like if he keeps doing that, then he will die. So his alcoholism is expressed right before with the mouthwash, which I'm not sure if it counts as food, but it was consumed. So and it was significant to the story as well.
Yeah, it was definitely germane to his character. So I agree. Food. Drinking mouthwash is a very, very strange and odd habit. People do it, though.
Yeah, I guess they do. Well, they drink cough syrup now, I believe. They call that lean.
Yeah. Or crunk juice. I've heard.
Crunk juice. Is that lean? That's not lean.
No, there's a mix of things. I don't
know. All right.
Probably not.
So
probably edit that out.
Okay, so minute 37, after Rosenthaler has delivered the paintings which he promised to deliver, it's seen that they're actually frescoes painted on a wall, which would be impossible to remove. Cadazio confronts Rosenthaler. Rosenthaler is actually eating a baguette and seems to be drinking champagne, while Cadazio loses his S in anger at what Rosenthaler has done. Now, let me ask you this. If you're mad at someone and you're yelling at them and expressing your anger, there's only a couple things that would make you madder, and that person eating a baguette in front of you and drinking champagne is probably one of those things which would actually increase your anger at that point.
I think it depends on the champagne. But yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was like a very high-end champagne, I would probably be like, yeah, I don't think I can get that mad at you anymore, because this is just the most baller response to it. But if it was like, Moet or something, then it's like, all right, dude, you're kind of a prick.
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't really. Okay. Why is that? Is a certain more of a douchey champagne? You feel like?
Well, I mean, it's like anyone can get it.
Okay.
Right.
So it's a commoner. So you feel it's disrespectful at the level of champagne if you're sipping it while this person.
If someone is sipping, and I think that we've done champagne already, but if someone is sipping Cristal in front of me, and I'm losing my shit on them, or I'm mad at them, it's going to be hard for me not to focus on that.
Interesting you mentioned that, because if it was me and I was really yelling at someone and they had a champagne flute in their hand and a baguette in their other hand, I would feel compelled to slap them both out of their hands. Otherwise, I wouldn't be taken seriously. How's this person going to take me seriously? I'm this upset that I'm just going to let you eat this baguette and champagne in front of me without slapping them out of your hands. You're not that upset if you don't slap those out of his hands.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely a good prop to slap out of somebody, especially a baguette.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Soft, you just pow, it's gone. The champagne, you might cut your hand with the champagne flute.
I feel bad about the cup, yeah.
You would feel bad? Okay, all right. But the baguette's got to go, right? We got to agree on that?
If someone, look, let's take the champagne out of the equation. If someone's eating a baguette while I'm trying to give them hell, that baguette's not staying in the conversation very long.
No, it can't. It cannot. It's got to go.
It's a very condescending bread.
Very. One of the most, frankly.
It's up there. Yeah. It's a lot of the French breads are kind of condescending.
And I'll tell you something. If you are eating a baguette or any other kind of bread product in front of me while I'm yelling at you, I swear to God, if you reach for the butter,
or if you're,
I'm flipping your chair over. I'm flipping your goddamn chair over.
If you dip your focaccia in olive oil while I'm trying to say something to you, we're gonna have a problem.
It's gonna be physical at that point. Someone's got to get their,
And if you bring balsamic vinegar into the equation, it's over.
But if you are that person, that is an incredibly
well. Now, anytime anyone's picking a fight with me, I'm definitely reaching for the nearest bread.
Oh, I didn't even realize this, but a great story, which is exactly what we're talking about. Somehow this must have bubbled up in my subconscious, because there's no way this is a coincidence. But Jeremy and I both work in advertising. And in advertising, the client relationships are about 18 months or so. And so anytime a client leaves, a bunch of people get fired. And so we've all gotten canned at some point. You usually land on your feet somewhere else. But my first job in advertising was at Grip. And we lost a client and then another client. I made it through the first one, didn't make it through the second one. But they were systematically laying people off throughout the day. And then I got a phone call, and I knew I was going to go in there and get fired. So I purposely went in there with a Starbucks banana bread and ate it while they were firing me.
It's a good move.
That's the kind of dude I was back in the day,
Well, I'm going to, now that I've anytime there's a serious conversation about to happen, I'm bringing bread in, but not Wonder Bread. I'm bringing in some like high-end bread.
And
it's
absolutely.
And I'm just gonna like, it's just, I think that becomes like a power move now. It's just,
I felt good doing it. I felt pretty good doing it.
I like that. I think eating while things are about to go down is
recommended. Very much recommended.
Very power move. I think. All right. I'm into this. I like this.
And listen, this goes with any other situation where you know you're about to take an L and there's nothing you can do about it. Like if you know you're getting that breakup conversation.
Yeah.
Order a number 3 at McDonald's. Let's go to McDonald's. I'm going to eat this, Big Mac while you dump me. Fine. It's cool. You're getting fired. I'm coming up there with a Starbucks banana bread and a smoothie. And I'm going to get my carbs while you're firing me.
I think, like, why wouldn't I? Now the more, like I'm going back on my champagne story, the more elaborate the food, the more amazing this gets. Right?
Interesting.
So if I'm getting fired, next time I'm getting fired, I'm coming in with a platter of oysters Rockefeller. Or like a lobster Newburg and just, okay, what? You're firing me?
Oh, the lobster? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's arrogant. Incredible. Like you, what did you have to say? Like that. I love
crunch.
It. Oh, I love
the claws.
Yeah, you got the bib on.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
People see you coming to the office with a bit like, what happened to Jeremy? I think he got canned, but I'm not sure. You could have been having lunch. I don't know what happened.
Like he ate a whole lobster.
Whoa. And he seems really depressed. What happened? It's like,
brilliant. This is great. I think we're on to something here.
Yeah, recommended. If you see the L coming, make sure you're eating while it comes because you just look cooler. That's really the only way you can look cool in a situation like that. Everything else looks stupid, frankly.
It's a great way to say you just don't care.
Yeah.
You're just like, all right, cool.
Yep. And again, self-soothing, a lot of good things happening there. Yeah, do that. Eat when you're getting dumped or fired, people. We'll put it in the show notes.
I love it.
Moving on to the cremants section, which I think might be my favorite, but it's hard to say. I just really love French New Wave, and this one was very soaked in French New Wave.
Yeah, and this was kind of had a lot of weird, because Cremants as a character, as we've already kind of established, if she was in fact eating toast, very kind of straight-laced person, it seemed
very buttoned down, very much almost monk-like in her devotion to her craft.
Was she the grammar one?
No.
No.
That was someone else. I believe that was a proofreader of some kind.
Okay, my bad.
That was Elizabeth Moss.
It was Elizabeth Moss.
We're not saying anything bad about because she's really high up in Scientology, and I do not want to mess with those guys. So, Elizabeth Moss,
I got no beef.
Love you.
I never have beef with Elizabeth Moss, regardless.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. God bless that lady, or whoever Xenu, bless that lady, whatever it is. So, minute 45. This is the Cremants introduction. So it's March 5th, late supper at B's. We pan over in the apartment to see a set of twin girls eating what looks like spaghetti and butter. Interesting, because it's every time you see twin girls,
creepy
in any kind of a dress, it's you think Kubrick. It's like that's like an immediate reference.
Yeah.
But also, do you know anyone who eats or who went through a phase where they eat spaghetti with butter? I did. And it really freaked me out.
So there's a version of that, which is like any noodle pasta with like a brown butter, sage, Parmesan cheese. Like that's like,
this is a bougie thing? Is this like a bougie thing?
No, but like kids eat it. They cook it for their kids. Like and throw a little garlic in. The thing about Italian pasta in general is it's very like the good ones, like the real traditional ones, are like 3 ingredients at most. And so
carbonara,
boom, boom. Aglio, the one that Babish did a long time ago.
Ravioli and stuffed in
like don't overthink it. It's like bolognese is like beef, tomato paste and stock. Like that's it. A little basil, right? Like don't. So it makes sense that spaghetti with butter and maybe Parmesan and garlic. Like cacio de pepe is just like oil, what type of Parmesan or no, not Parmesan, the other one, pecorino and pepper, right? Like it's like a 3 ingredient thing. So,
well, when you describe it like that, it actually does sound delicious. Now that I think about it.
So spaghetti and butter with maybe, hopefully, they put Parmesan in there, maybe a little Italian parsley. That would be great. It's a nice little thing. But it's also like when I was a little kid and we go to an Italian restaurant and I was a picky eater, they'd be like, "Yeah, just give him spaghetti with the butter and the Parmesan. He'll love that." Right?
That's what you ate when you were a kid. You were one of those kids.
Yeah, it's like a kid's thing, and then it's like you graduate from that to Alfredo, and onwards and upwards you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So minute 45, that was minute 45, sorry.
Yeah.
We pan over to see the grown folks, the couple that Kremens is visiting. They have clearly set her up on a, I guess, meet and greet, possible matchmaking, unofficial matchmaking with Christoph Waltz,
Yeah,
who they've made up to look terrible, which he's not. He's a handsome man.
He's a great actor.
They made him up. Yeah. But the introduction of Kremens was around the dinner table for a dinner, which I thought was very interesting. Another introduction via food or food service.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Chair?
I agree with that. I don't think I have much more to add other than it was a very awkward kind of, it set her character up even better because now I've learned something more about her. And then Chalamet comes in, or what we get, was it Chalamet that came in with the gas masks on? Was that?
Yeah. He meets her, she meets him in the bathroom, and then he comes in with a gas mask. Very stark difference visually to the Christoph Waltz character, who she seems to have been set up with.
Yeah. I mean,
very punk rock versus accountant,
But he was very I think Chalamet, I don't know much about him. I've watched Dune and a couple other films, but perfect cast. Like, perfect guy to cast for that. Like, the hair, everything about him is like, there's, how Tarantino has his actors, Wes Anderson, Woody Allen had his actors, and it seems actually Woody Allen and Wes Anderson share a lot of actors. But Chalamet was like, you could tell he's going to be like a Wes Anderson muse kind of guy going forward for sure.
Oh, I hope so. God damn.
Great actor. And I thought, to go back to this dinner table introducing the character, yeah, I agree with you. I think that's basically really set her up, especially for who she was, is, very on the surface straight-laced, but then we see that she's maybe a little bit, kinky.
She reminded me of someone we both know, and I don't want to say who it is.
Can we get a? Oh, all right, yeah. No,
I know. Do you know? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Okay. Well, we're not going to spill any beans.
Very much no. Yeah.
Is it similar? Do you think?
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right. That's how you don't get canceled, people. Take a note.
Don't name names.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we go to minute 51, and Wes Anderson has created this incredible French cafe called Café Le Sans Blague.
Awesome.
Blague. Is that Jerry, you know how to pronounce these things.
Try again.
Café Le Sans Blague.
Yeah. Blague.
Okay.
Maybe.
Anyway, this cafe
throw a little German stank on it.
I would hang out in this cafe every minute of every day of my life. I found it incredible. Just the fashion, the style, the music, everything about it, the conversations, the pretentiousness of the youth. I wanted to be in that cafe so bad.
But it's very quintessential. I mean, like, we could go into other films and TV shows. It brought to mind Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Did you ever watch that show?
Love that show.
The dad, when he would when the mom and the dad moved to Paris, spoiler alert, and the dad was always like going to these French cafes and like getting into these heated debates with French guys. Like, it had that kind of vibe to it. And like I said, it also like had a Les Mis kind of vibe to it too, because it's very revolutionary kind of, these are where the people are getting together and, building these ideologies and stuff. Like, I think Wes Anderson did a great job of setting things up with that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have always had this fantasy in my head of being on the left bank in Paris in like 1958 to 1960, that time when the French New Wave was happening.
Yeah.
I just had this elaborate fantasy of me being there, and it matched it in a cartoony way, which elevated what I already had in my mind. So shout out to you, Wes Anderson.
Yeah, it made it exciting. I mean, I love France. You know, I get blown away by it. So this whole segment was amazing to me.
Okay, minute 52, Zeffirelli is playing chess with Mitch. Great names throughout this movie. Shout out to the names all over this movie, you know. They're all different, and they're all different in their own way. Yeah. They both have beers. Mitch is sent to the mustard region, which I Googled and don't think that exists. The mustard region.
The mustard region?
Yeah, the mustard region.
I would assume Dijon.
Okay.
Would be. Dijon is in Burgundy. But I think if there was a hypothetical place, then that would be the mustard region of France.
Well, I like that layer. But both are drinking beers.
Yeah.
Mitch leaves without finishing his beer, which I have never seen a grown human do. I've never seen someone just leave their beer and go somewhere.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Last call to getting thrown out, or actually, sorry, I have to go.
Just I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. Also, I grew up on the East Coast with a lot of East Coasters. We don't do that out here.
Also at parties, you see people just like drinking a beer and they'll like forget it. And then they'll go grab another one. Like if beer is a...
No. I'm talking about at an establishment.
Oh, like an adult at a restaurant?
Somewhere. Yeah. Anywhere where you've paid for this beer.
Well, if you got somewhere to be, you got somewhere to be.
Yeah, I guess so. Right.
I don't think I've ever done it, but...
Minute 53, Zeffirelli and Juliet, hot. They're having a face-off over existential differences in their philosophies as angry youth. She is drinking a... coffee, looks black. Yep. He's drinking beer. She's drinking a black coffee. Is that a French thing?
Well, I think they don't drink like coffee like they don't do drip coffee. If they were going to have a coffee, it would be like an espresso or an Americano or something to that effect, right? Like they do it that way with the crema and stuff like that. So it's a different...
But it wasn't. It was black though. She said a black coffee.
Yeah, but it could have been an Americano just without milk.
Oh, right. That's true. Okay. So are we assuming that's what it is then?
I'm going to assume because I know in this day and age, it's really hard to get like a drip coffee in France. Like that's from my experience. I've usually would just get a latte or an Americano or an espresso.
I actually wanted to mention that because there was a promotional pop-up of this cafe. The Sans Blague Cafe. Dayglow Coffee had promotional drinks for this movie.
Yeah.
And I went online and bought a promotional cup and saucer of Le Sans Blague Cafe.
That's pretty cool.
For $300 on eBay. Yeah, I did that. I really did that.
That's bold.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I don't regret it.
Is it rare or...
I mean, it was a promotion. They gave out as many as they possibly could have given out, so it's as rare as that is, I guess. Only 3 locations, I think, in the world had it. So.
300. You must love this movie.
I loved it that much. I really did.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You should have been, like, sipping from it. Like during...
Well, I've got it in the other room, but I was going to use it for the visual on YouTube.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah. Minute 58, Le Sans Blague coffee is poured into the river. Brutally, which we had mentioned before, the act of disposing of tea in America as this act of revolution. Yeah. This also in response to an act of revolution. So significant that the coffee goes during this entire struggle.
Also, if this being the same river that Owen Wilson was alluding to in the first segment, this is where they dispose of bodies and things they don't want anymore. So this is symbolic of something.
Minute 105, Zeffirelli and Juliet have come together and overcome their differences and are now engaged in a very hot, steamy relationship with all this sexual tension built up from all the animosity that they had previously encountered when they talked to each other. So they're both nude, sitting on the bed, and they share a Coke, and she feeds him a potato chip, looks like plain. Have you ever thought about doing this with a French lady?
Eating potato chips in bed naked.
On her dorm room bed, drinking Coke and eating potato chips. I'm assuming pre-coitus.
Or post.
It looks like pre. What do you think?
I don't know.
Post would make more sense. Maybe I'm wrong.
But the thing about pre is like usually I'm still wearing my clothes.
Right. It had to be post.
I don't get
You're right.
I don't get naked like to the coitus is the instigator for the nudity.
Right.
But call me old fashioned.
No. That is correct. That is correct.
So I thought it was like
okay. So let's talk about that then. Post coitus. Is this something you would eat? Do you eat post coitus? Are you a fan of it?
Do I?
Me personally, I enjoy a nice snack after coitus. What are your thoughts?
In the bedroom, or do you would you go downstairs to, would you hit the fridge? I guess depends on who's home.
I would usually hit the fridge and bring something back, or just take a quick snack and then back. If it's the morning, it's usually we're gonna grab some breakfast.
Yeah, I'm cooking
in bed, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. In my younger days, probably. Now that I'm a mature kind of fella, I'm not really. I'm usually falling asleep. So
that's it. You're just done. It's over.
Have a nice cry and then fall asleep. Like what?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, you did your job.
Yeah.
You should deserve a rest.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm still going for the snacks though. I love a post-coitus snack.
You need to recharge. You gotta. Maybe a Gatorade to get those electrolytes back up.
100% you need some electrolytes. If you're doing it right, you need electrolytes. But I would say post-coitus snack, one of my favorite snacks. Yeah, I burn a lot of calories, and then I don't realize it. And I don't realize I burn the calories until later. I'm like, why am I starving?
It's like a smoke. It's almost like a smoke for you.
I guess so. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not doing it right.
Okay.
On that revelation, let's keep going.
Yeah. I don't think I've had chips, but I would have chips if someone fed me chips post-coitus, which
not a bad idea.
Does.
I'd like grapes, fed to me like a,
like a Greek.
Whenever you see like a Greek or Roman orgy, they do the grapes. I'm down with that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll make a note.
Yeah.
Bringing us to the third segment of the movie, Taste and Smells. This is by far the most food forward of the segments. Did you want to say anything before we actually get into it, Joe?
I mean, this is the when we were talking about Pulp Fiction and our favorite food scene, the big food scene. This is the big food scene of this movie. This is a fantastic food scene. And I will stop you mid-scene probably to give the recipe, but I think I'll let you list it off first just because it's so fascinating, the food he picks.
Fair enough. And this is one of my favorite, it goes back and forth between this and Rosenthaler as favorite, but everyone in this one, especially, they seem like they're people who are outsiders. So there's an orphan child who gets taken in and raised by a police department. That kid's an outsider.
Yeah.
There's a chef, Asian chef. He is an outsider. There is Jeffrey Wright, who is a closeted homosexual, also African American, doubly outsider. So this is very much a movie that puts forward the idea and the sadness of being an outsider, I feel like, and how food can be a comfort. Food can be, I guess, a spiritual, not cleansing, but a spiritual guide through difficult emotional times in your life, I guess. I know for me personally, I have struggled with anxiety, coming from a lot of things, but the thing that I do to get control of when I start kind of spinning out, I will cook because it's something you can do with your hands and control. And it works. I encourage everyone at home, if you're having an episode, start cooking or do something with your hands. It's really good. You
just start chopping. It calms me. I find that I actually agree with that. I will openly say that. In our job, my mind goes a mile a minute all the time because it has to. And so one thing I do to switch out of that is I cook dinner. I'll cook dinner for my wife and I every night. And when I do that, my wife also often gets angry because sometimes when I cook and it's not going right, I get upset. Like I get viscerally angry because it's so like, I'm so into it. I'm so like, I want it to go so well. I'm making something, that it is kind of an emotional, it's kind of a thing that I don't know. I cook with a lot of emotion. And I think that this chef in this scene kind of does that too, in a lot of ways. He plays it a bit deadpan, but I mean, a lot of what he does, a lot of the food drives the whole story in a lot of ways. So I don't
Absolutely.
know. I found it very interesting.
Absolutely. So Jeffrey Wright plays an amalgam of many characters, actually, and he is invited to a dinner at 1 hour and 15 minutes in, where they make a great to-do over a specific drink in a tiny thermos, which was described in the script by Wes Anderson as a milky, purplish aperitif, ferociously fragrant, overtly medicinal, ever so faintly anesthetizing, and cooled to a glacial viscosity in a miniature version of the type of vacuum-sealed flask normally associated with campsites and schoolrooms. Cast a spell, which during the subsequent 60-second interval was to be mortally broken on 3 overlapping dramatic timelines. And so the events come to pass. But when you saw that drink, did it do anything for you? Because I really wanted to drink it. For me, I thought I'm fairly certain it tastes like that pink antibiotic syrup you got when you were a kid in the spoon with the hollow spoon.
Oh yeah. The amoxicillin.
You know what I'm talking about?
Amoxicillin or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I imagined it would taste like.
It felt to me, and except for the purple, that they were doing absinthe.
Really? You had absinthe?
That's I went to absinthe because everything about absinthe is, or I don't know if you've had real absinthe, but herbaceous, ice cold, like really cool. You pour it over sugar, so it gets this syrupy consistency. It's milky when you add water because the high alcohol reacts with the water, and it becomes this milky green substance, like real absinthe, not the crap you get here. So I went there with it. But I knew it wasn't that because I don't know what it was. Like I couldn't. But that to me felt, and especially during, the time frame, it felt like absinthe was the right call there. But it could have been anything. I don't know. But alcohol, like if you put vodka in the freezer, I keep my vodka in my freezer. It gets a syrupy consistency. It doesn't freeze, but it gets a little thicker. Yeah.
Okay. After he drinks the aperitif, the dinner is laid out, and I will explain what it is, the different courses. So, deviled eggs of the precinct, canary served in shells of its own meringue. I really messed that up. You want to try that one, Jer? You go ahead, do it. You go.
Deviled eggs of the precinct canary in shells of its own meringue.
Beautiful.
I think I got it.
You want to keep going? Go ahead. Just rhyme off.
Oh, I don't have the list up. Hold on.
Oh, I'll finish it. Okay.
Oh, no, I got it. Kidneys poached with plums from the mayor's rooftop arbor. Minced lamb bonbon in pastry wrappers. Blasé oyster soup, which I found to be the most interesting. A magnificent. Oh wow!
See, it's not easy. It's not easy.
You take over. Finish it out.
A magnificent City-Park Pigeon Hash. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Tabac pudding with quadruple cream. All right, let's just get into this, man. Okay, so your favorite in this dinner setting was the Blasé oyster soup. Defend your choice.
The one I found the most interesting. I'm going to stop for 1 second and say our recipe for this episode will be the deviled eggs. I'm not going to do them in their own meringue because I have no idea what the hell that means. But we'll do a deviled eggs recipe down below. You'll see that in the description when you see it. But let's continue. The blasé soup, to me, blasé is a word that means very like, he's very blasé. Meh.
Blah means blah.
Yeah, blah. So it was the soup blah or I don't know.
But you said you were intrigued by it, didn't you?
I was, and that's why I was intrigued by it, because if you notice, every other thing on the menu seemed to be something they found around the city.
Well, the meal or the item right below Blasé oyster soup is the magnificent City-Park Pigeon Hash. They had used the adjective magnificent right after using blasé. Right. So that's a bit of a one-up, if you ask me.
Yeah, I don't know. But all the ones that are like precinct canary. That sounds like a bird that they was out front of the precinct because they're police officers.
Yeah.
Kidneys poached with plums from the mayor's arbor, so they just got plums from the mayor. Minced lamb bonbons and pastry wrappers. I don't know what that is. Well, it seemed like big pastry wrapped lamb.
It looked pretty cool.
It looked pretty
cool.
awesome as a dish.
Yeah.
Blasé oyster soup. So those two are those two are outliers to me because the first two were, maybe I'm not understanding the words and I'm overthinking this, but like precinct canary, mayor rooftop plums, and then we go to City-Park Pigeon Hash, and then tabac pudding with quadruple cream, which I don't know what that is. I know what pudding, like tabac, I don't know. Maybe that's something I Google.
All right, the magnificent City-Park Pigeon Hash. Here's what I'm thinking. City-Park Pigeon Hash. City-Park Pigeon. So basically they took a pigeon from the park and made a hash out of it, which I think is a bit of a low-class thing, and they're trying to elevate it by giving it the magnificent.
Things, right, yeah.
Which is why I think your instincts were correct with the Blasé Oyster soup, because who's going to name an oyster soup or a soup of any kind blasé unless it's awesome, and they're purposely trying to not get you to order it so it becomes an inside secret to true fans or true foodies.
Interesting take.
That's what I got from that. But
yeah,
wow.
The presentation was magnificent. And I was like excited when I was like watching this from a food perspective. When we got into this scene, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, because thus far there hadn't been much for me to like glom onto recipe wise. I was like, all right, I know French food. I'm going to find something out of this that I can cook. None of it. I was like, I don't know how to do any of these things. So amazing scene. I would love to see what, food bloggers on YouTube there come up with from this. I don't know if anyone's done any of these, but I would love to see it.
Well, someone could do with this entire section, basically they could do an entire meal, 2 meals probably.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do a Wes Anderson night or a French Dispatch night with just making these meals, that would be a great time, I feel like.
Oh, it'd be fantastic, yeah.
Influencers would be taking selfies all over that meal,
oh, yeah. If you could find a recipe for it. I don't know if I don't know if these are actual meals. Or, like, I know the components are, i.e. hash is a thing. But I've never heard of a pigeon hash. Like, it's not something. But maybe this is like, I don't know. Maybe Wes Anderson made it up, or maybe these are just super obscure French dishes that I don't know.
I gotta find Wes Anderson, hang him at a window, and make that nerd tell me how to make
vanilla ice, Suge Knight him,
Yeah. I could definitely do that to Wes Anderson. But just one of the great food porn scenes.
Amazing scene.
Not just in this movie, but of all time. They literally have close-ups, beauty shots of each of one of these dishes as they name them off. So I think Wes Anderson...
Done in Wes Anderson style, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful
he was definitely... I love Wes Anderson dealing with food, and this scene in particular was really good. It was right up there with the opening scene with the drinks on Lazy Susan. So,
yep.
Thank God for Wes Anderson being a love of food. 1 hour, 31 minutes in, there's a kidnapping, and the kidnappers send for the cook to feed them, and they have a note which says, "Send the cook." And this is where, very rarely in movies or in life or in literature or anything, is the cook a hero. I feel like the cook, Steven Seagal in Under Siege, very famously, took out a bunch of terrorists.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? Casey Ryback.
Casey Ryback.
Oh, that was his name. Sorry,
wasn't that his name in Under Siege?
I forgot his name.
It might be.
You were right.
It might be his name in a bunch of movies, but yeah.
One of the great cook as hero movies. Under Siege. So, the cook definitely. This is the start of the cook getting to save the day.
Yeah, he ate the poison and was able to stomach it.
Yeah, well, this is where the food and the cook save the entire interstitial, or the entire scene here. The same. What is this section? This is where the cook saves the entire. Yeah, this is when the cook and the food saves the entire vignette. So the cook is sent to make food for the kidnappers, and he comes up with at 1 hour and 32 minutes a savory winter tart, puree, vivid greens, radishes, and blackbird pie.
Right.
And the cook is asked to taste each one of the dishes to make sure it's not poison. Yeah. The way he grabs a piece of the blackbird pie, I felt made it seem like it tastes even better than what it looked like.
He made it look good.
He did, didn't he?
Sold it.
The way he grabbed at it.
But then Edward Norton didn't like radishes or something, so he didn't actually get poisoned.
No, Edward Norton ate the radishes. The only people who didn't eat the radishes were the kid who was kidnapped, the child who was raised by the police precinct, and the getaway driver who also. So grabbed the kid out the window, and they initiate a cartoon car chase whereby the kid is eventually rescued by the police. But
I had thought that was Edward Norton. Maybe I miswatched.
Maybe it was. Now I'm starting to doubt myself.
Fair enough.
But great section of food pornography, food as plot device, food as character builder, and just food for the sake of food pornography.
Yep.
All together. Just those two meals.
Chauffeur hated rabbits. Yeah, for sure. Hated radish. I think that was Edward Norton, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I.
Oh no, he was dressed as a chauffeur. He was dressed as a chauffeur.
I just watched it today. Yeah. I was just checking your notes because I was curious.
Well, it makes sense. He is starring in. He's Edward Norton, for God's sakes. He should make it out of there.
Well, that scene had so many stars, like that just had very small. Liev Schreiber, just so the girl, the one that with the blue eyes that the little kid was talking to.
Oh, Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah, I don't know how to say her name, but she's
Saoirse. Yeah,
Saoirse. She's amazing. She's been in a bunch of stuff. A lot of great actors. A lot of great actors just want to be in Wes Anderson movies.
I would, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're going to pick a movie that you wanted to be a part of, I would.
Made people's careers to be in Wes Anderson.
But also, it would just be cool to be one of the characters. Like, see what would Wes Anderson do with me as an actor?
Yeah, you're a cog in his wheel. In his gears in his party. Yeah, it'd be very interesting.
Yeah, which is why I think he is the new Woody Allen. Don't cancel me, please. I know he's canceled.
Yeah, well, look, you can. I say it this way: whatever Woody Allen did, we're not, allegedly did or did. I don't know. I don't want to go there.
Oh, don't cancel us.
I don't want to go there. It's not to say that his movies aren't fantastic. I'm sorry. You got to separate the art from the person at some point. You don't have to watch his movies if you don't like him, but. For the point of what we're doing, for the sake of what we're saying, the guy made good movies.
Fair enough. Shout out to Woody Allen.
I don't think that's contentious in any way, shape.
So, did you have any thoughts about the dishes served or the meal itself?
No, I thought it was very interesting. It was very like French to me because sometimes they cook with weird stuff. I think we've kind of covered what this meal accomplished in this scene. What this whole vignette, actually, this whole segment accomplished with regards to food, carrying the plot of an entire segment of the film.
Right. Well, just to end it off, there was a mention of an omelet that was fed to the Willem Dafoe character, the accountant. People had forgotten about him. So
the chef came back.
Gave him an omelet, warmed
a French omelet.
French omelet wrapped in a day-old search warrant. Love the specificity of that, by the way. But sorry, go ahead.
When you eat an omelet, would you be able to know the difference between a French omelet? This is going back to scrambled eggs. Remember we had that discussion about scrambled eggs, and how the European or the British do it one way and Americans do. Have you had like a Denver omelet or an American omelet versus a French omelet? Like the difference between the two?
Yeah, there is quite a bit of a difference. The French omelet is like soft and delicate and fluffy and
raw on the inside,
and
almost.
raw, kind of runny on the inside. The Denver omelet is fairly well cooked with stuff in it.
Stuff in it. Yeah. What do you prefer?
I kind of. It's interesting because omelets, the way I make them, are 90% nostalgia food for me.
Okay.
So during COVID, I was eating my nostalgia omelet pretty much every day for lunch. And my nostalgia omelet is the one my mom made for me when I was a kid, which is onions and some green chili peppers in a pan. Boom. You put the eggs in it, 2 eggs on one side, then the other side, some cheese on top. When I was a kid, it was Kraft singles, let's be honest. But now I put actual cheddar slices on. Same difference as far as I'm concerned. It's a little bit more sophisticated. Eat that on top of buttered toast with some ketchup to this day. Takes me back, man. Love it. Still one of my all-time go-tos.
Wow.
Yeah. What about yourself? Are you an omelet guy?
Yeah.
I know you prefer the French. I can already tell.
It's always dependent on my mood. I can cook.
You
both.
eat omelets based on mood.
Well, I eat anything based on mood.
Okay, let's get into it. What is your mood for each omelet? Let's go.
I cook both. Ever since I watched, what was that movie with Bradley Cooper? The chef one. He was Burnt. And he had that hungover French omelet. We may do that movie, so I don't want to get too far into this. Whenever I'm hungover, which is rare now, I'll do a French omelet because it's just a softer, butterier, kind of simpler omelet, which is weird because most people would probably go for like the big ham and cheese Denver omelet. But the Denver omelet's more of a meal. That's if I'm hungry, if I want to eat something, if I want a breakfast. So there's merit to both in my opinion. What do I prefer? If you really want, if I had a gun to my head, the French one.
I want the truth.
Yeah,
you said French one.
The French
one.
If I had a gun to my head,
what do you eat with it? Just by itself?
Yeah, I put a little cheese in there. You can put some Havarti, it melts nice.
But no carbs on the side, no toast on the side.
I don't need it. No, maybe a little toast if I want to dip. Get a little crazy. But,
sophisticated. I like it.
Yeah,
croissant, perhaps toasted croissant.
If I have one, it's rare that I would have a croissant just lying around, but yeah.
All right. That does sound delicious, though, the French omelet.
It is delicious. It's one of my favorites.
Anyway, 1 hour, 38 minutes in. This is, I guess, the most important food scene of the movie, and one of the more important food scenes in movie history, where the chef, who has been poisoned by the toxic salts on the radishes, but has managed to survive based on the strength of his gut biome. He describes that the salts had a flavor which he had never tasted before. And he muses on the fact that it's unusual this late in life to experience a new flavor like that. And then he kind of mournfully talks about how he's an immigrant, and he kind of ties him being an immigrant in with tasting a new flavor, I guess. It was interesting. It was poetic. It was a little bit sad, but a little bit beautiful. What were your thoughts on the chef's discussion of the salts?
It's like when, things, there are trends in food all the time, right? And a new trend comes along, like, everyone's putting gochujang and stuff, or everyone's putting yuzu and stuff, or, and you see it on TV. If you want to know the latest trend in food, watch one of these cooking competitions, and everyone will be putting, this is yuzu braised pork. And it's like, why would you? All right, fair enough. And it probably tastes great. I don't know. And I got, when I heard that kind of him talking about that, it reminded me of that concept of umami. It's that you're always chasing that flavor, and no one really knows how to describe it to you because you don't know how to describe that flavor, right? But the only way to describe it is a random word, umami.
The word sounds like
what it
describes.
Exactly. Yeah, it's what is it, onomatopoeia or alliteration, or I forget which.
I believe it was onomatopoeia.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I went with it. But also, I'm sure there was some deep metaphor for the entire film right there. But just very, I was a nice way to kind of finish off, I thought.
Yeah. It was the first time.
Revelation.
Yeah, it was a use of food to express character that I don't think I had seen food used that way or that directly tied to a character before. Yeah. Very rare, and I really enjoyed it. Frankly,
it told his story nicely. It wrapped.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that the writer in the French Dispatch, they talk about several writers which are not really, we don't follow their stories. One of which is someone who shows up to work but has never written anything. For instance,
the guy
he's had writer's block.
The guy that hangs around. I saw they show him.
Yeah, but he's always eating a breadstick.
Yeah,
he has a little crunch. He's always just hanging around there. But
probably why he's never been fired.
Hey, but he's actually based on a real character named what is it? Joe Mitchell. Sorry, yeah. So that writer is based on Joe Mitchell, who was a fairly consistent contributor to the New Yorker. He would write character pieces or profiles of individuals that he thought were interesting.
Yeah.
And his most famous work was of a guy named Joe Gould. It was called Joe Gould's Secret. It turned into a book. It was about a character in the village who was at all the right parties, and he said, and everyone told him that Joe Gould was writing this enormous novel, this like 90,000 word novel or something like that. And so Joe Mitchell, the New Yorker writer, would investigate and have conversations with him and hang out with him with the idea that he would eventually reveal this novel to him, only to finally learn that the novel was fake. He was just a fraud. He was not writing a novel, but he was just a great character, this Joe Gould character.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, it's something weird at that, but that was the last thing that Joe Mitchell ever wrote. So after Joe Gould's Secret, where he wrote about a guy who pretended to be a writer but wrote nothing, that is the last thing that Joe Mitchell wrote from 1964 to 1996 of his death. He would come into the New Yorker every single day, get off the elevator, go to his office, leave for lunch, come back, 5 o'clock, leave again. He did that for 30 years. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
And his book, Joe Gould's Secret, was turned into a movie starring a notorious Hollywood foodie, Stanley Tucci, who played him in the movie, Joe Mitchell in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Joe Gould's Secret. You can rent it.
That on that bombshell. That's brilliant. I love it. I love Stanley Tucci as well.
I think we all do.
Great guy.
Yeah. Should we do the awards for the movie?
Food
awards.
Sure.
So, which character would you most like to have dinner with?
Which character would I most like to have dinner with? Probably Benicio del Toro.
Rosenthaler.
Yeah, Rosenthaler.
He's a convicted murderer. He could kill you.
Yeah, but he's fascinating.
Okay.
Be a hell of a dinner.
Yeah. Well, he didn't talk much. He expressed himself mostly through the visual medium.
He was an interesting dude. He was a great character. Who about you?
Cadazio. Rosenthaler's nemesis, Cadazio.
I like it.
I feel like that guy just cannot wait to tell me all the things he's doing. And I want to know what they're...
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Good choice.
What do you think was your favorite food in the movie?
I would have to go with the Blasé Oyster soup. I'm super curious about it.
Interesting.
Like I want to know more. It made me... And I love soup. What about you?
I would have to go with the minced lamb bonbons in pastry wrappers just because it was so interesting to look at.
Looked like a good time.
I want to bust into that pastry like a bonbon and eat that lamb, which is going to be
you can just eat the pastry.
Delicious.
It'd be great.
Would you do that?
I think that mix of pastry and lamb kind of, if it's what I think it is, if it's kind of braised or kind of a softer lamb with the pastry, I think that would be delicious.
Yeah, I feel like it would be like fall off the bone kind of minced lamb.
For sure.
Oh, that looks tremendous. Is there any other food awards?
Any other awards? Best scene, I think we know.
Oh, let me check my notes quickly here. Are we doing best scene?
Best food scene was probably the that when that sequence of food came out, in my opinion.
With the drinks?
The soup. No, with the soup, the bonbon, like that whole sequence. That was
okay. The Jeffrey Wright, the robot Wrights.
Food porny scene in the movie.
That was actually really good. I have to agree with that, but the drinks on the Lazy Susan on the waiters on the waiter's tray, second.
Was very well crafted.
Oh, really good scene.
That scene had more food as a catalyst for story.
It did, but our scene,
just pure food.
Just pure food pornography.
Unbridled food in its sexiest form.
Unadulterated.
Yeah.
There's best and worst use of food. I think the best use of food has to be the poison salts.
Yeah, poison salts or the drink scene in the beginning. But I think poison salts help the story more.
Yeah. Worst use of food? Huh. I don't think there was a particularly. Yeah, I
think Wes Anderson was very deliberate in his use of food in this movie.
I will say missed food opportunity would be they didn't explore the menu of the Sans blog enough.
Okay.
As a venue of food and drink, I wanted to see more of that menu. I feel like that's a missed opportunity.
Or at least do like a pan across of like some pastries or something. Like give me something.
Just
give me
that Wes Anderson top down of a menu. That would have been awesome.
I want to know more.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's all I really get from that. All right. Closing thoughts, Jer. What are your closing thoughts?
I don't have much. Great film. I think we've really kind of went deep on it.
Oh, we should do a rating system. Rating as a movie and as a food movie.
Okay, as a movie.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go with like 8 out of 10 or?
We're going 5s. We're going something at a 5.
Okay.
And no half stars.
No half. So it's just a solid number. That's a 4-star film. As a food film, I'm going to be a little harsher. 3-star film.
No, we can't do stars when we're doing the food. We have to do something else.
3 brioches.
Can go brioche
for this
one. Once we decide, that's what it's going to be.
It's got to be. Oh, jeez, man! Now you're putting me on.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man, 3 sprinkles of salt.
What?
We got to work on it, man. You can't.
Come on, man.
What do I look like?
3 sprinkles of salt. The hell?
3 pinches of salt.
All right, we will work on it. It's not 3 sprinkles of salt.
In the comments below, tell us what our rating system should be.
All right, so I'm just for the temporarily speaking.
Yeah.
What did you call bacon? You called them like rats of bacon or something?
Rashers.
Rashers. Okay. So
I like rashers.
All right. So how many? You got 4 rashers out of 5?
4 rashers for the film, 3 for the food.
3 rashers as a food film? You only give it 3.
Yeah, I'm harsh.
Wow.
3's good.
I gotta go 5 and 5. I think it was a phenomenal food film, and again, as I said in the beginning, one of my top 5 movies of all time. So we gotta go 5 there as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just hit everything right in the feels, but that's just me.
All right. Well, next time it's Goodfellas.
Next time it's Goodfellas. Always a pleasure, Jer. And again, you can get the recipe for Jer's deviled eggs in the comments below, or the description. The show notes below will have Jer's recipe. There's sure to be a showstopper. The man doesn't F around. Yeah.
Hey-o.
Have a good day, everyone.